Yo, this is Juwan and this is CYON. And this is an outlet for entrepreneurs to tell your story, to get in the know, to relieve your stress, to create your own narrative. Yo, it's Create Your Own Narrative, man. CYON. We coming in again, checking in with my boy Anthem. How you doing, bro?
I'm breathing.
That's the best way to go, bro. Sometimes, life get hard, but we still kicking it, right?
That's big facts.
We coming in, bro, because you got a lot going on. You're a vocal producer. You make music. You do everything when it comes down to the music industry. What made you get so deep into the music world and want to learn all these different hats?
I think it chose me.
Chose you?
It chose me. I've always had the music ability since I was a kid, since I was a child. I mean, we're talking about pre-K. Okay. When we had like little recorders in school, I was maxed out like the first time I got it. I was learning everything by ear, and but it wasn't something I took serious until like my late teens. I was drawing and painting. I just always had the music in me, sort of.
Artistic mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what's some people that you can relate yourself to in the industry and that you feel, you can mimic your game over?
Timbaland birthed me. No, Dr. Dre birthed me.
That's real.
Timbaland raised me.
That's real.
Dr. Dre was the kickoff of everything production for me. My dad is from the West Coast.
Okay.
He played, he had this Expedition with 12s in it, man, and it was like a cherry red joint. And he used to play the Chronic 2001 so obnoxiously. Smashing it, bro. And that was the first time I heard music and I started to break it down. Like, what is this? Like, what is this kick doing? What is the snare doing? He was really big on these like brass section stabs, and like it was just so different for me. It got deep for me. And from there I was just breaking it all down. I started to ask myself, what is happening in the music when I was listening to it? And then from there I gravitated to Timbaland, and because I've always had that R&B and that vocal production in me too. My mom used to play all the 90s R&B records, the New Editions, the Blackstreet,
well-rounded.
Yeah, well-rounded. My grandfather put me on the Queen when I was like 8 years old, and
he was in the game.
So I went back and started breaking everything down, which led me to Timbaland, because Timbaland's blueprint is singers. Timbaland's, he came from Jodeci, Aaliyah, Missy, Nelly Furtado, Britney Spears at a point in time, and from there, I was just like, I wanted to follow that same blueprint. I had that same interest or whatever, which is probably why a lot of my clients are like
singers. I was going to ask you that. Do you prefer to work with singers more? I know it's probably not a preference, but
it is.
Okay, man, I was trying to be nice.
You gotta be nice. You gotta be nice. I definitely love working with vocalists. You don't have to be a singer. I love working with vocalists, and ironically, a lot of the rappers now are vocalists. They're melodic people. For me, it's about the color. My ears perk up off of tones and the way tones are being manipulated and used, what I mean, in a pleasant way. And, I love the idea of stack. I love vocal production.
Yeah.
I love vocal production. Now, obviously, like, you get J. Cole in here, he's a spitter. Like, he's doing one take, things done. But if I get, the best singer in here, especially when it's a vocalist that hasn't seen their full potential yet,
and then you get to bring it out,
and then I get to bring it out. Like, I love that,
So you love what you do.
I love what I do.
We finna get the 60-second hot seat questions going. Break the ice a little bit.
Go for it.
Before we get deep into this. Nod, you got me on the clock, bro.
I'm pulling it up now.
Be as transparent as usual as possible.
That's the best way to go. That's the best way to go.
I'm ready to go.
All right. Ready, set, go. How would your best friend describe you?
Ambitious.
Okay. What's the scariest risk you ever took?
Sitting on a cliff of the Grand Canyon.
Ooh. Okay.
I got a picture of that, by the way.
Let me see that. What's your biggest pet peeve?
People that don't respect time.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Switzerland.
Favorite childhood TV show?
Hey Arnold.
Favorite quote you live by?
That's a good question. They always call you crazy before they call you a genius.
Ooh, banger. Is it okay to ever lie?
No.
Okay. Do you believe in soulmates?
Yes.
What's your favorite thing about yourself?
My ambition.
What time we at?
19 seconds.
Oh, I got one more. If you had if you had the dream job of your life, what would it be, and how would you approach it?
I'm already doing it, but if I wasn't, I'd do it the same way I got into it.
Hey, we answered the question so fast. I ran out. I'm like, hold on. That's the first time anybody answered all the questions so quick.
But you know what it is? It's because I really know me.
See, look,
I know me, bro. I know me.
Bet. Let's talk about this Hard Pill to Swallow project, man. You let me hear some unreleased stuff. You feel me? All I gotta say is they clean bangers.
Thank you.
To me, bro, your music is very deep. It brings me into a place where I can almost feel where you coming from. Hard Pill to Swallow, what came into that and what made you have that approach?
Hard Pill to Swallow. Hard Pill to Swallow is based off my personal experience with mental health. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. Okay. And it's different from just having anxiety. It came with rampant panic attacks. I was having like 4 or 5 panic attacks a day. Yeah. Right, and I was also having what you can probably Google later, it's called derealization spells. That's where you kind of just lose conception of reality, right? Okay. Now, for me, this hit really hard because, you know, we all, as people you know, we all experience trauma growing up. Facts. And whatnot, but we're kind of, I hate to say it, but groomed for it, so to speak.
I can see that.
And so, for me, this was the first time in my life where trauma literally affected my mental health. Okay. In a very big way, in a massive way, right? In a chemical way. Okay. And you know, but I was having those panic attacks for about 6 or 7 months, like 4 or 5 a day, you know, and it was trauma related. I went through a series of deaths in a short window of time. I lost my grandmother, I lost my auntie, I lost my cousin, all back to back different ways. Grandma heart attack, auntie cancer, cousin got hit. Yeah, got hit by a driver, flipped out the Jeep, you know, and then I almost lost my son. Yeah, my son, and my son's autistic. He's nonverbal autistic. Okay. And he drowned. And he drowned the day I was actually moving in to, I gotta frame this. My grandmother, my auntie, and my cousin, they all lived together in one house. They always did. Yeah. So my auntie went first and my cousin went second. And my grandmother was becoming real sickly because of the loss of them. Yeah. You know, that. Exactly. So I moved into the house to take care of my grandmother. So the day I moved in was the day that my son drowned. Or whatever. Okay. And it was one of the worst experiences of my life. And you know, thank God I was able to do CPR on him. And I'm gonna tell you how God works.
Tell it.
Right?
God is real.
So 2 weeks prior to us moving in, something told me just at least go on YouTube and look up CPR. This is just proactive parenting. Just never think I would ever have to use this. Facts. You know, I literally like binged a bunch of YouTube or whatever, like CPR. It just like sat on me, you know. And here we are, moving in day.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. You know, I'm in the U-Haul. I hear my fiance at the time yelling from inside of the house. There was a lot of moving parts going on, obviously, because we were moving in. And I hopped off the truck and I saw my son laid out. My ex-fiance had him laid out on the pool deck, and I ran, snatched him up, because she was holding my younger son while pulling him out. Damn. It was crazy. So, you know, I grabbed him. I ran to the front and I was like, you know, call 911 or whatever. I wanted to be visible. I put my son down on the driveway. I kind of had him on my lap, and I laid him down, and he was about as blue as this tray. About as blue as this tray, bro. And I just looked at him and I just said, you're not gonna die today. And I was like, you're not gonna die. But it didn't feel like I was just saying it. It felt like I was affirming that. Yeah. Spiritually.
You already knew it wasn't time.
It was not time. Yeah, that's deep. It was not time. You know what I mean? And I just kind of had this control of like, I know what to do.
Yeah, you had control of the situation.
I just knew what to do. You know, I've never done this before, but I just knew what to do. you know, so I started doing CPR on him, and it had to been probably the longest 30 seconds of my life. He just, I see his eyes just roll back, color just comes back to his face, and you know, from there, like, he made a full recovery, and they were saying he was gonna need all this respiratory rehab and all that, bro. He bounced back in 3 days. Like nothing happened.
God real.
God is super real. God is super real. So, but needless to say, that's where my journey started with mental health, because a couple of days after that, I had my first panic attack, and then from there it became chronic, you know. And but needless to say, I had to go through a lot of rehab, personal rehab, just personal work, personal development. I had to break down what the anxiety was. I had to break down what kind of anxieties I had, so on and so forth. I realized I had separation anxiety. I had a panic attack every time I would attempt to leave the house. I realized that was because I didn't want to leave my son.
You did the knowledge.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had to gain the knowledge or whatever, and I had to break it down. And you know, from there, I had my best friend, Jordan Leon, by my side, and you know, we was chopping it up a lot, and she was in therapy, and so she was just giving me a lot of tools and gems that she was getting from her therapist and passing it along to me. It was helping me identify certain things I was dealing with myself as well. And I ended up getting to a space where I started to get creative again, because while all this was happening, I was down. Like, it was a wrap. You know, I was fighting for my life every day. That would be deep.
I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, like literally, I called it the devil's joke. It felt like I was about to die every day. And the devil like, no, I'm just playing with you. Yeah, you know, so, but needless to say, she was the one who actually pushed me to first be creative about what I was dealing with. And, you know, so I ended up cutting a couple of songs, and from there I was like, all right, you know, but she saw the potential in it, and then she was like, you should make a project about it. And that's where it all started. And
that, you dropped one last Friday.
Yep. Inner Child, chapter 1.
Explain them what the track means, you feel me? Just give a brief summary of what you believe that song means to you.
Sure. Well, ironically, chapter 1 was the second song I created in the batch of music when it came to me just getting creative again through the anxiety and depression and all of that stuff. Okay, so when I'm creating, this is gonna sound wild.
Go ahead. That's the best way.
When I'm creating records, I never really know what I'm talking about until I'm like halfway through, because I'm not the guy that just sits and writes it. I'll just kind of conceptualize it in my head, and I'll just start putting it together, and I'll just start recording it. Well, I'll start producing it. You know, I'll probably get like the melody of the beat going. You know, fly it in Pro Tools. I get on the mic and I'll just start getting right to it. So needless to say, halfway through the song. Well, in the beginning of the song, I thought I was just talking about depression, you know, because I was obviously depressed at that time, and this was my outlet, creating the song. But through the homework and the tools that I gained, I realized, okay, this song is deeper than just talking about depression. This song is actually about the start to curing depression. And that start is addressing your inner child. That's right. Because I believe all of us have this little baby version of us in us that's responsible for how we respond and react to everything else. That's deep. You know, so yeah, I told you, so it's deep. But so needless to say, I was really intentional about making inner child sound kind of like this lullaby, so to speak, where it's very easy to digest, but it's also very dense at the same time. And you know, I wanted to encourage people to tap into their inner child by me confronting mine in front of all of you guys,
making it open for and creating that conversation.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get into that mental health. That's what we're gonna get deep.
Yep.
But first we gotta get into the shirt.
Yes, Hard Pill merch.
Hard Pill merch, man. So
anxiety shirts dropping soon. For sure. I don't know if you can catch that logo on the back, but yeah, man, I do everything. I do everything in house or whatever. You know, I'm a true creator at heart, and you know, with Hard Pill, this is what came with it. You know, it's gonna be a lot more coming soon.
And that's what I need. I need one of those, bro.
You can definitely have one of these.
I dealt with anxiety too. And I used to hate all these lights too, bro. That used to trigger me.
This was inspired by somebody asking me what anxiety feels like.
Suffocating, for sure.
Suffocating. Oh, let me suffocating. Yeah, and a lot of the merch is gonna hit like that.
We're gonna talk about the mental health though, bro. On your journey with mental health, I know you told me you're a very big mental health advocate.
Super.
You feel me? And that you wanted to bring awareness to mental health on the podcast to the people so they can know how to deal with it, how to fight it. I know you said you had to address it. You had to learn different things about yourself.
Yep.
Feel me? How was that journey just dealing with mental health, overcoming the things, all that trauma, you feel me? Losing your people.
Well, you asking loaded questions. What? Loaded.
Hey, bro. Hey. They need it, bro.
Man.
I think it's my first time I ever dug into mental health on the podcast either.
Yeah, so it was painful. It was painful, to be honest with you. Like, you know, I went through this roller coaster of things because I believe mental health, it's definitely secular. Like, it's chemical imbalances. There's certain things that's literally happening to your body, you know, but it's also spiritual too. You know, at least that's what I believe. Okay. And I had to reparent myself. I had to address my inner child. I had to really visualize. I literally visualized at a point in time what my inner child looks like. And that gave me some perspective of just where I was at, because I realized you see how you asked me like what it was like just digging into myself? Yeah. You know how many people run away from themselves?
Everybody. A lot of people more than they do.
You know?
You imagine.
Yeah, for sure. So, and me, I felt like to a degree I was in that same space. I couldn't really even conceptualize.
Yeah, me either.
You know
that I'm going through something.
Exactly. So for me it was like, well, what does my inner child look like? And that little version of myself, I saw him in a dark room holding the bat with a bloody face, terrified, but trying to act like he's just with the shits, you know. And from there, I had to address that with myself. Like, all right, where does that come from? And you know, granted, this is all trauma related with the anxiety and all of that stuff, but it unearthed so many deeper rooted things that I didn't even see coming.
But it was coming.
Yeah. You know, I had to address like my abandonment issues. I had to address like how I deal with rejection. I had to address why it's so easy for me to disconnect with people while I'm actually a people person. Right. I had to address all of these things, and when addressing these things, you always have to take some accountability.
Facts.
No matter how much of a victim you may actually be,
you got to take accountability.
You have to take accountability.
What's going on?
You know, and there were certain things I had to take accountability in. That was, no pun intended, a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. You know, but I did the work, and I had to accept these things. I had to talk to God about it. I had to definitely strengthen my relationship with God. I had to be intentional about what I was digesting. You know, that all that world star hip hop, you know, sitting on my subconscious, and I'm over here wondering why I have catastrophic thinking. Yeah. But
it's what we're watching.
It's just what I'm watching. It's what I'm sure. I go on A&E and watch First 48.
We eating it up all day.
We're eating it up all day.
All day.
You know, so subconsciously, okay, it's catastrophic thinking going on. I'm assuming the worst, and that's also trickling down to the general anxiety disorder, because I'm just assuming the worst is about to happen to me every time I'm uncomfortable. You know. So it was just a lot. It was a lot of digging, and it was very lonely.
Dark road.
It was very lonely because, you know, I'm dealing with something that nobody around me understands. Yeah. You know, so I was
hard to address it.
They're not qualified to address it, and that was another thing I had to deal with too, because like I remember coming out of that journey, right? Or getting over the biggest hill of it all, right? You know, I had resentment at the end of it, you know, because I'm just like, yo, you my homie, but you ain't like check in on me. Yeah. You ain't you supposed to be this to me, but you ain't, you know. But I realized If you're not qualified, you're not qualified.
Yeah, now you can really tell me that.
Yeah, you're not qualified. If you're not qualified to deal with my problems, how can I hold you accountable for something you're not qualified for? Like you don't even know what to say to me at this point. Like, damn, Anthem's having panic attacks. Yeah. I ain't never deal with this. Like,
hold on, get him up. Get him
up. You know what I'm saying? He's not a professional. You know what I mean? And so I had to go through that season of forgiving too. And
that's the biggest one.
That's one of the biggest ones, you know. So I had to go through that season of forgiving, but ultimately it was transparency. Transparency, in a nutshell, was like my whole season with just, you know, because I'm not gonna say that anxiety is no longer a part of my life. I still take Zoloft. Yeah. You know, the panic attacks are no longer a part of my life. You know, I was able to. That's
a blessing.
To get past that, but there were certain things as well that I had to do physically. Like, you know, I said my son drowned, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I had to break that anxiety. I had to throw him in the pool.
And now you good. Now we good.
I had to throw him in the pool.
Now we good.
You know, because I felt like this was something that was going to control both of us.
Yeah. So now he could break his.
So I had to confront it. We both had to confront it.
That's real. I respect that.
So it was just things like that. I had to go through a lot. You know, but I had to grab my balls and just be looking in the mirror and say, "Hey, we're." Head on, bro. Like, we're doing it. No matter what we do. Because nobody's going to bring it to me. Nobody's going to bring me a solution.
The peace, nothing. You got to go get it.
Happiness is one of the few emotions that you have to work for.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. We gonna take that one line. we gonna put the YouTube link, bro. That's it.
Nah, because that's facts. I mean, think about it, bro. I don't mean to ramble, but
nah, go ahead.
Think about it, dog. Like, depression meets you at the door. Yeah. You know, being resentful, remorseful, all these things, sad, all these things can just hit you. You can literally wake up and just be like, damn, dog, I feel like shit.
I don't want to go to work.
I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do nothing, right? But when you want to have some type of at least contentment, right? You got to do something.
Yeah.
You have to say, you know what, I'm gonna go work out. You know what, I'm gonna go do an interview today.
Do something you love.
I gotta go do something else. You have to work for that. And once I understood that, that's when everything else became a little easier for me.
Facts. I agree with that part, because once I figured out this was something I loved, it was easy for me to maneuver through. Like, well, I got an interview due Friday. Fuck that. Fuck what happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
We here.
Friday, we here.
We here,
and we finna get into good space.
Exactly.
Do you have any tips for anybody with mental health? My tip to the people would be, find somebody to talk to, you feel me? Find somebody that you believe in, who trusts you, and you trust them just how they trust you, and y'all can have a conversation you could be able to do and say whatever you need to say. So
that's great advice. Yeah, I double down on that. Make it a conversation. Be transparent.
Facts.
Be transparent. You know, that's why I love that quote. They always call you crazy before they call you a genius. Because I'm going to tell you something about crazy. Crazy is actually a very dismissive word. It's actually a reflection of someone's lack of ability or qualification to actually understand you.
What you're going through or what you're doing, whatever. That right. Crazy because you don't understand.
No, you heard what he's saying? That's crazy. No, you just may not understand it. Right?
Somebody else might understand.
Somebody else may understand it. So be transparent. But to add to that, I would say, first of all, get a primary doctor, because mental health is definitely chemical related. You know, we have that stigma of like, we don't want to go to the doctor, we don't want to go to the hospital. We rather smoke it away, we rather fuck it away, we rather cap about it. Whatever. But
do everything, but what
we need to do or whatever. So get your primary doctor. Like, don't be afraid of that system. Don't be afraid to get a therapist. Don't be afraid to get a psychologist or psychiatrist, whichever, or that will give you the medication that you need to balance you out. But that's half the battle. The other half is the internal work. So pray about it, talk about it,
keep God first, and be unapologetic about it. That's the biggest thing. Be unapologetic about it, because that was something that almost killed me. I was ashamed of what I was going through. I was ashamed of it. And the fact that nobody understood it made me feel like an alien. You know what I mean? Outside the world looking in.
there you go. But the moment I became unapologetic about it, you know, then I started to feel more comfortable talking about it how we're talking about it now. And
I appreciate that too.
Yeah, and you know, that strengthens the foundation for you to get the help that you need.
Y'all see, it's two black men talking about mental health.
Yeah.
Feel me? It's easy. You feel me? Cause I think that's what we need to do, bro. We need to have a conversation, open up these rooms for people being able to talk. Just to share with you, I remember one time I went to one of my homegirls. She threw a recording session just like this, and she was the host, and she had a whole bunch of men, and she sat and asked us some questions. Man, we was in that, boy, we all in there looking at each other like, whoa, bro, it's deep. Like, and she asking us about life, relationships, trauma. I left thinking like, damn, bro, if I would have had that conversation maybe earlier, could have helped me a little faster.
Could have helped you a little faster. Exactly.
Could have helped me a little faster. So I just shared that with y'all, man. Shout out to Jai. I'm pulling up September 1st, man. We doing it again.
Great job.
Great job, for real. But she did that again. So make sure, hey, man, we gonna get this clip. We gonna send it to you too. Hey, make sure y'all pull up September 1st. I'm gonna drop the details. And she about to have another men's conversation, bro. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link. I don't know you, but I love you for that.
Yeah, that's love. So what we finna do, man, we gonna sign out, but we gonna go to the back first, go get in the studio real quick, let y'all hear a quick snippet of what he got coming. We gonna go ahead and hit the road, man.
It's on the way. There we go.
It's never easy to hold a grudge with someone you love. You taught me how to fight, but now we taking off the gloves. Wiping tears, we both stubborn, don't wanna budge. Ignoring calls, I wanna talk, but ain't picking up. It's the pride in me. It's hard to put that aside when feelings collide. Petty, like when you decide to change your mind and not ride with me.
I don't know what we had was every time I can keep you off my
mind. Keeping you close.
Sign it out,
Come
man.
on, man.
You ain't finna sing it for him, right? You ain't finna sing it to him, right? Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. We'll sign. You sign it out, man.
It's the one and only Anthem, man. Create your own narrative, exclusive interview. You already know what it is.
We doing business, man. Big business, man.
Boom.
keeping you close.
Come on, Jordan.
I know